So hey guys, thank you for watching my channel Learn to Know Cbse Biology. I am Amitesh and welcome to yet another new video of the series Cbse 2020 Biology Sample Paper for your upcoming Cbse Biology examination, where today I will be discussing the important and the probable topics for the upcoming examination. So without much further ado, let me start. So I will be saying you the important topics based on the serial number of unit. So first, to start with, I will be starting with the unit reproduction. The 14 marks is assigned to the unit reproduction. So the chapter 1 is asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, all that you need to learn is justification of statements. Justify or explain the given statement or give reason for the given statement. For example, question might come: which one of oviporous or viviporous is more viable to the enemies? Why? Next question might come that algae and fungi shift to sexual mode of reproduction before onset of unfavorable environment. Why? This sort of give reasons might come. Or a question might come, sexual reproduction is a better or is a higher mode of reproduction than asexual reproduction. Give reason to support this statement. Next, the chapter is plant reproduction. In plant reproduction, the following topics are very important. Number 1, parthenocarpy. Number 2, parthenogenesis. Number 3, apomixis. Number 4, polyembryony. Number 5, structure of microsporangium and macrosporangium with diagram. Number 6, double fertilization. Number 7, diagram of anthropous ovule. Number 8, false fruit and true fruit, along with albuminous and non-albuminous fruit. Why are they called so? It might be given: draw a diagram of a 8 nuclei 7-celled egg sac and label and state the fate and the function of synergid, antipodal cells, filiform apparatus, microphile, helium. Like this question might come. You have to learn the fate. You have to learn the function, respective function. Next, in the chapter of human reproduction, gametogenesis, oogenesis and spermatogenesis is very important for this time. Small numerical might come that 600 sperms are formed. How many primary spermatocytes were there? Why first mitosis takes place followed by meiosis? First is equational division, then is reductional division. Why is it so? These questions might come. Along with the hormones of estrogen, progesterone, LH, FSH, each of their function in each of the menstrual phase and the functioning implantation. Hormonal control in the menstrual cycle, implantation, parturition, oogenesis, spermatogenesis is extremely important, and the mechanism of implantation and parturition. Or the question might come: trace out the events that takes place after fertilization of a sperm takes place with an ovum in a female fallopian tube. A 5-mark question, appropriate 5-mark question, but you have to explain. If possible, you have to draw the diagram of the blastocyst, the medulla. Okay. Next is reproductive health. In reproductive health, the topics you should cover is contraceptive measure, the pill containing the combination of estrogen, progesterone, copper tube, how do they stop implantation, their phagocytosis activity. These all are very important. And lastly, the tubectomy and vasectomy. Genetics. Before I say anything, before I go to genetics, I should say that this sort of a question is highly expected for this time, where you will be given the polypeptide chain, for example 5 prime, GAC, TGC, TCA 3 prime. You might be asked what will be the coding strand polypeptide chain, what will be the transcribed mRNA, what will be the tRNA, explain amylosylation of tRNA, how many amino acids should be formed. If G is removed, what will be the mutation shown in? Give an example of such a mutation. What is a mutation? The mutation is point mutation, and example is sickle cell anemia. Okay. And if G is replaced to A, that mutation is known as point mutation. If G is deleted, this is known as deletion. This sort of a combination question of principle of inheritance and molecular basis is very important. Along with that, the blood group or multiple allonism, codominance, incomplete dominance, linkage, and the Mendelian and chromosomal disorder, Turner syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome, and the Down syndrome is highly probable. And in molecular basis, the histone structure, the replication fork. You have to explain the replication fork. This sort of a replication fork. How is the discontinuous strands then joined? What is the significance of this? Who discovered the replication fork? And the HGP, Human Genome Project. It might be given state the aim and the achievement of HGP. What does Y and B stand for in YAC and BAC? This sort of question is highly probable for this time. And from evolution, St. Miller's experiment. In the case-based question which have been included from this time, 3, 1 plus 1 plus 1, that question you might be given a diagram of St. Miller's experiment, and any one condition of that St. Miller's experiment might be wrong. You have to identify it, you have to rectify it, you have to state the conclusion of St. Miller's experiment and explain the conclusion. Then Hardy-Weinberg principle is extremely important for this time, along with explanation of statement. For example, natural selection in nature. Then rate of appearance is directly proportional to the lifespan of an organism. This sort of explanation is important. The Neanderthal men are more developed from Dryopithecus or Ramapithecus. You have to explain. You have to give 2 or 3 points based upon the marks. Next is human health and welfare. In the first chapter, the human diseases, that chapter, the antibody structure, the immunity it gives, the B cells, the helper T cells, and the drugs along with cancer, metastasis, interferon, Begin tumor, malignant tumor, and the contact inhibition process is extremely important. AIDS, the HIV, you might be given a diagram and you have to answer questions. You have to fill in the blanks A, B and C. Like this question is important, and you have to answer. You might have to answer how do vaccination give us the immunity, what are memory cells, these basic questions. Then the strategy of food development, micropropagation is highly important and probable. Before I move into this, in genetics, in molecular basis, DNA fingerprinting and lac operon are important. It has come in 2019, but both of them were repeated in 2018. So there is again a probability that it gets repeated in 2020. Okay, so as I was saying, in strategies of food development, apiculture, pisciculture, their motifs, the process, the steps are important. Inbreeding, crossbreeding, outbreeding, the definition, the disadvantages are important. How the disadvantage of inbreeding is overcome by artificial insemination and MOET. The total procedure of AI and MOET are important. And lastly, I will go on to the microbes in human welfare. The microbes in human welfare, you have to learn about the flocks, the primary and the secondary effluent treatment, and the biogas. And you might be given 4 or 5 scientific name of the microbes. You have to explain how they have contributed to us, to the human welfare. Last unit, ecology. First chapter, organisms and population. Definition, each definition of population growth, Y is percentage population, percentage cover, better unit of population, then the terms and then the curves of logistic growth curve that have already come this time, and exponential that have already come this time, but you should learn because that is a very important topic. Then conformer, regulator, partially regulated, how do they modify themselves according to the environment? This is important. H pyramid. Give the different types of H pyramid, draw them and state which one is most desirable. Stabilizing H pyramid is most desirable, neither growing nor declining. Why? Growing will increase the population, declining decreases the population. Stabilizing stabilizes the population to a certain limit. So according to the logistic growth curve, our resources are limited. If the population gets stabilized, then resources can be successfully utilized and will not end or get declined. And the next unit is biodiversity conservation. The chapter. What is biodiversity? Fragmentation of biodiversity, loss of biodiversity, importance of biodiversity. Then the immigration, that formula. Birth rate, what is birth rate, what is death rate. Then biopyramid, in situ ex situ conservation. Then the definition of the PPP, those definition. You have NPP, net primary production, the gross primary production. Those are important. These have come already for 3 mark question, previous year Kolkata paper, Bhubaneswar paper. And for the last unit, the catalytic converter, ozone, biomagnification, DDT, and the greenhouse effect is very important. Sorry, while saying DDT, I remembered in your evolution, the DDT, the Darwin finches, the natural selection is very important for this thing, and the industrial revolution and the industrial malignation. Okay. The catalytic and the greenhouse effect, ozone depletion, the Montreal Protocol. This protocol is very important for this time, for 1 mark or for more 2 or 3 mark, and for 5 mark, as I have already said, the curve for the conformer regulator is highly important. Ozone layer, I have already said, is highly important. So thank you. Now continue reading and continue learning. These are the important question, and this question is highly probable for this time, the polypeptide chain given. So by that time I will upload the next video. I will go to the sample paper number 2 of this channel. Keep on learning. Like this video, subscribe this video, and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a video on YouTube to help you. Thank you. Have a nice day.